Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. So I'll just introduce the speakers tonight. So we'll have Miss Hazid, who's the primary head teacher.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So she'll be presenting the program as well, and
Along
then
with us, yeah.
along with us. So we have Michelle May, who's the head of section.
Hello.
Myself, Jody Sokan, who is the head, admissions manager. And we will also have Mrs. Briand, who should join the webinar in a couple of minutes.
She's already there, Jody.
She's already there.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfect. She's the head of the French school, so she's the head of the head of primary pasteur in LCSC-NLR. We will share a presentation, so let's just check it works. Here we are. So yes, showing what's the content of the webinar. So we will explain who we are, the different locations, the different partner schools we have, with whom we partner with our offer and our section. The curriculum, so a bit more about the program taught that will be seen with Ms. Azid, obviously. We're not just a program, we're also a community, so we'll be explaining a bit the different events that occur during the year. And then lastly, once we've convinced you that it's the right program for you and your children, we'll be explaining how you can get in, what is the application process. As we are lucky enough to have Miss Briand on the phone right away, we will start with her. Mrs. Briand, can you hear me? Est-ce que tu m'entends? Jessica,
Oui, je vous entends.
Oui, super. Merci
Bonsoir.
beaucoup. Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Merci beaucoup d'être connecté pour pouvoir expliquer justement aux familles un petit peu plus le quotidien à l'école élémentaire Pasteur à la Selle-Saint-Cloud. Je te laisse présenter ton école.
Oui, donc bonsoir à tous. Donc, l'école Pasteur, c'est une jolie petite école située plutôt grande en fait finalement, située dans une zone, donc une zone sympathique pavillonnaire près d'une forêt. Donc, une école de 10 à 11 classes. On n'est jamais monté à 12. Donc de 2 classes par niveau environ. Avec un effectif d'environ entre 260 et 270 élèves en général. Donc l'équipe est là depuis longtemps. On est donc en moyenne une dizaine d'années. Et on travaille avec la section depuis environ 15 ans, si je ne me trompe pas. C'est ça, hein, 15 ans? Oui. Donc voilà, on est habitué à travailler en commun avec les professeurs d'anglais. Ça se passe toujours très bien. Donc je pense qu'on va vous dire un peu, on travaille les mêmes matières lorsque les enfants partent en anglais. Les professeurs de français gardent une partie de la classe, donc la partie qui ne va pas, qui n'est pas en section, et travaillent avec cette partie-là, les mêmes disciplines qui sont travaillées en anglais de leur côté, que les enfants de SI travaillent de leur côté. Ainsi, les enfants n'ont pas normalement à rattraper de choses en particulier. Et donc, ça permet vraiment une fluidité, il n'y a pas de perte pour personne, en fait. Et donc, les enfants, voilà, s'y retrouvent complètement. Donc, on a eu de nouveaux aménagements. Là, je vois l'ancienne cour. Maintenant, il y a une magnifique cour, toute
On n'avait
blanche.
pas encore la photo
Oui.
de la cour réaménagée avec les espaces.
Voilà. Donc, on aura bientôt on a déjà une belle cour qui a été toute rénovée par la mairie. Donc, et qui maintenant va bénéficier de beaux arbres qui vont arriver dans peu de temps et de terrains de jeu. Enfin, bref, on a vraiment une belle rénovation de la cour de récréation, ce qui n'est pas négligeable, hein, c'est toujours sympathique. Sinon, que dire d'autre? On a des TNI dans toutes les classes, enfin des ENI maintenant, des écrans numériques. Et voilà.
Oui.
Il y a le projet de l'année, je crois que c'est sur les livres, la lecture, c'est ça, cette année?
C'est ça, oui. On travaille, oui, c'est vrai. On a des projets, donc on a des projets d'école. Donc là, ce sera sur la lecture. On va rénover la bibliothèque puisqu'on a une très belle bibliothèque qui va être entièrement rénovée. On va faire des petits concours de lecture dans les différentes classes. Et on On sait qu'on a proposé à la section internationale de venir lire un petit des petits livres dans les classes, etc. Donc, on essaie de travailler en commun. On a l'école, on a plusieurs projets, enfin plusieurs fêtes d'école. Donc, par exemple, on va avoir à Noël, on fait le marché de Noël, donc avec l'ouverture de l'école aux parents, avec la chorale. On va faire une journée autour de la littérature de nouveau au niveau d'un festival du livre avec une vente de livres. Et les enfants vont travailler sur le printemps des poètes et donc beaucoup de choses autour du livre. Et en fin d'année, on a en général une belle kermesse. Donc voilà, école grande ouverte à ce moment-là. Plus des petites choses ponctuelles comme le carnaval voilà. Donc on aime ouvrir l'école aux parents. Voilà, c'est toujours très agréable. Et voilà, c'est
Et
nos
d'ailleurs,
projets.
oui, merci beaucoup Jessica parce que tu as proposé pour la première fois, ce serait la première fois qu'on le fera, une journée, enfin une matinée portes ouvertes le 30 janvier.
C'est ça.
Donc, faudrait par contre, je vais juste parler en anglais juste un instant. So very kindly, Mrs. Briand has agreed to open her school, her primary school, on the 30th of January for any parents who would like to come and visit. Of course, you will have to register so that we can prepare as to how many people will come. So if you can send us an email on admissions, so we can let Mrs. Briand know how many people will come. So you'll get a tour of the school and come also to visit the section class.
Merci, Jessica. Super.
Merci.
Voilà. Bon, bah, peut-être au
Merci.
plaisir de vous voir l'année prochaine.
Oui. Merci.
Merci.
Bonne fin de
À
journée.
très bientôt.
Merci. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Alors, donc, we've been
Back to
very
English.
lucky. Back to English, exactly. Thank you for telling me. I'm the state of French. So Ruth, no, actually, Michelle.
Is this one mine?
It
This
is,
my
yes,
slide.
please.
All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the primary offer that we have and kind of how the section operates with our partner schools. So we're a fee-paying section integrated into French public schools. And we actually have integrated classes from Grande Section all the way to Terminal, where students graduate with an international diploma now called, it used to be the OIB, now called the Baccalauréat Français International, so the BFI. And we are accredited and work hand in hand with Éducation Nationale on both the local level with the partner schools and also with the accreditation and the programs on the national level, especially for the lycée, because of course we have to have a bac that does both and does both equally well. The way that we have kind of put this offer to music is that we're a parent-led association. We have over 22 years of experience, and we also operate as an Anglophone community within LCSC-Saint-Cloud, Noisy-le-Roi, and the surrounding areas. Parents tend to know each other. We tend to use resources and share resources, as well as have community activities that are not necessarily directly related to school, but to the community and the English-speaking aspects of the program. We'll talk a little bit about that later. We've recently changed our logo and our identity. We haven't changed what we do, but we've changed our look to be a little bit more encompassing across the schools and across the towns where we are located. So now we go by GrandChêne, Section Internationale, but it's the same offer. It's still bilingual education, English and French. The coursework is in English, all all the time. We encourage the children, of course, to think in English, to read in English, to speak in English, to share, etc. We do get some franglais sometimes. I think we all end up with that a little bit on occasion. But it's age-appropriate language. So, of course, we're going to ask the younger children to read at a level that's appropriate for them, to converse and use the vocabulary that they should, or that would be acceptable, for their age. And you do have to have a certain level of academic ability, not necessarily that you're the head of the class and know everything perfectly, but the children have to be willing and able, with their other activities and with the home environment, etc., to juggle the two programs. It's not necessarily more hours, as Mrs. Brion explained. The kids come out of the class and do it in English, but there is a bit of a switching that has to happen and a little more weight in terms of the homework and the commitment, even from the family, especially for the primary level. We have on the whole, so across the programs, 15 teachers, 1 reading assistant in the primary program, and 4 administrative staff. So myself, Mrs. Sokan, we have a human resources person, and we have, of course, an accountant. So we have all of that for the admin staff. So our locations, now this is tricky. You've put me, the geography teacher, in front of a map.
Thank you.
Okay, so you can kind of see on the map that we have 2 catchment areas for the primary program. The first, kind of to the left of the slide,
And in
is
blue.
the blue, Noisy-le-Roi, which is our newest addition to the GrandChêne family. Noisy-le-Roi, then the catchment area for that primary school is indicated there, right next to Bailly.
So basically, it's the whole of the town.
It's the whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
a whole of Noisy-le-Roi. For Bailly, there's still questions about whether that includes Bailly or not, but definitely the whole town of Noisy-le-Roi for
Right.
this new primary school.
Absolutely. And then for LCSC-NLR, which is a larger town, of course, the catchment area is kind of up in the area physically, geographically where the school is, but students can receive a dérogation to attend the primary school where the section is located. So if the family takes the test, passed the test, is accepted, admitted, etc., then they will have an exception to their local neighborhood school in order to attend the school in LCSC-NLR.
So every year,
That's
because
fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
derogation is really a question that is often asked. We get places in derogation every year. So the first step is if you live in the catchment area, obviously, you have maybe not guaranteed a spot at the school. I'm not talking about the section, but at the school, because you live in the catchment area, they're supposed to take you. But if you live outside of the catchment, that's when you have to apply for derogation. It all goes through the section, it all goes through us, and we get those spots confirmed by the inspection académique. So there is, a certain number of priorities. So outside of the catchment area, but within town. So I'm talking about primary pastor here. So if you live elsewhere in LCSC-NLR, and then if you live further away, all of the 78, so Les Yvelines will be considered the same way as, whether you live in Louvciennes or Le Vésinet, that won't change anything in terms of derogation. However, you have to, what we recommend is for you to live in Les Yvelines and not in the 92 Les Hauts-de-Seine, although the towns are very close by, because that comes even further down the line of priorities. And of course, Noisy-le-Roi works on the same basis. So should you live elsewhere than Noisy-le-Roi, you can still apply to the school and you will benefit from a derogation if we have enough spots in derogation. What Mrs. Brion forgot to say is that this year in Pasteur, we know that in every single level, there is space. So this is good news for next year. We will have spots in grande section, in CP, C1, C2, CM1, CM2. We don't know how many, but we know that we will get spots. So this is good news to us and to families. We've seen this one. Ruth, would you mind telling us more about Jules Verne in Noisy? We can't hear you. I'm sorry, you're muted.
Yes, okay. So good evening. Yes, so Noisy-le-Roi and Jules Verne, the school Jules Verne is new this year. For us, we have a CM1, CM2 joint class this year of 10 students, and we're obviously delighted that we are able to have a class in the school, and this will then hopefully automatically let us feed into the college La GrandChêne in Noisy-le-Roi. So that was our aim for several years, and so it's happened. It is actually a project this year, but it's been so successful that I think that the Education National will agree that we can carry on next year. So it's a small class run by Mrs. Hamishi, one of our teachers who also works in LCSC-NLR. The school is a very smallish school, a community school, got some very good vibes, and everyone seems to be very happy with the section there. So if you live in Noisy-le-Roi, obviously this is a wonderful opportunity. It's for next year, it looks as if we will only have the top classes again, but over the years, we will gradually try to lower down and go to the other years. But next year, it'll be for CM1, CM2 again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. So our primary offers, 3 programs are available in Pasteur Primary. We have the integrated program. So this is where the students are in the school and they're pulled out or they attend their English classes integrated into their regular school week, into their regular curriculum. We also have the option to have children participate as external students. So they might have most of their week and most of their day, even at another primary school, but they can join the Pasteur Primary English program for the blocks of lessons that are in English at Pasteur. It's a little bit more on families and on the parents in particular, because the children have to go from one school to another. The other option, the third offer, is Wednesday primary, and Wednesday school is on Wednesday mornings at Pasteur Primary. And in those cases, the classes are, the Wednesday school is all kind of the section. All the classes are in English, and the organization and the morning, the changing of activities, etc. All of that happens with the section teachers. The primary school in Noisy has, just as Mrs. Hassid said, just one integrated program at the moment, the CM1, CM2 split class, and that will be the offer that'll be continued next year as well. All of our teachers are qualified native English speaking teachers, although I do wonder sometimes if my British colleagues think that I do really speak English, but I speak American English anyway. But all of our training, all of our teachers have been educated abroad and have had the benefit of English language as a native language. Small class sizes is something we like to brag about. Our small class sizes sometimes are very small. I think we have one class this year that's 4.
Yeah, in grande section.
In grande section. But what an opportunity for those children with that teacher to have such, practically one-on-one attention. But we do pride ourselves on small classes, depending on the age group, the level, between 10 to 16. And exceptions to that upper level are very, very rare. We have over 122 pupils in all the primary programs, 56 in integrated, 5 in external, and 61 in the Wednesday program. And is this me?
Yeah, this is Ruth. If
Okay.
Ruth, yep. Thank you.
Okay, back to me. So let me just tell you a little bit more information about the integrated and external program. So as Madame Briand says, we are integrated in her French school at Pasteur, and it's the same obviously in Jules Verne in Noisy. And the children go to these classes for 6 hours a week, and obviously the classes are entirely in English. And the mairie of LCSC-NLR and in Noisy-le-Roi, the mairie have dedicated special classrooms for us. So in Pasteur, we have 2 classrooms which are just for our use. So this means that we can put things up on the wall, create a real English environment for the children with the class library. And obviously that's obviously very good for us. So the 6 hours for integrated at Noisy-le-Roi and in École Pasteur at LCSC-NLR. So it's 6 hours. Basically, the week is divided up into 2 half sessions. So 3 hours either in the morning or in the afternoon. Basically, it works out to be English language and literature for roughly 3 hours a week. And the rest of the time is spent on the world around us for the younger classes and science and geography for the older classes. The science and the world around us is based on the French curriculum, but obviously we adapt it to our English program and given English resources and textbooks in English, obviously, to do the same subjects, but it's not identical. Literally, it's not just translated from the French program. What else we got here? Requirements between languages. Yes, so the children do have to, as Mrs. Soken or Michel May mentioned earlier, that they do have to be academically strong and able to organize themselves. The children do have to be able to communicate in English, and so we're not there to teach English, but to maintain their English, and obviously at different levels, or it's a different level of English we expect. But even from Grand Section, the children have to be able to understand us, to follow instructions, and be able to communicate with us, even if they're very shy and still very young and immature. They still have to be bilingual. So this brings me to the point that they have to have English at home in some capacity. You can't expect your child to learn English to the level we require if they do not have hear or speak English at home. It doesn't mean just putting them in front of the television. It does mean that there has to be some sort of way of them to converse and discuss in English at home, and that is very important. We need the children to grow to be able to speak naturally in English just as they speak in French. So it is very much a family project and something which is very important for all the level programs, integrated and external. So the external, let me go back to this. So as Michel May mentioned, we need a derogation if you do not live in the catchment area. The children are treated just the same as the others, but it is obviously a little bit more difficult for them because they have to slot into the school environment, and they're only there for 6 hours a week. And obviously the parents have to bring them backwards and forwards to the school. We do not, that's the reason why we don't have quite so many, but it means that you are able to keep within your local environment, local community, if you want your child to go to the local French school, and at the same time have the possibility of 6 hours of English a week.
Yeah. And it's essential as well that there's a good communication with the local school, isn't there?
Yes,
That's really with the teacher, not only the teacher, but the headmistress as well, so they know what the program is about, and as early as possible in the year, so that maybe in a way they can adjust or
Anticipate it.
anticipate, exactly. Yeah. So this
Okay, so the Wednesday program, the big difference between the Wednesday program and the integrated and external program is that they only get 3 hours a week. And so we only concentrate on the English language and literature skills. And they do not do science, geography, and the world around us, like topic work as such. So 3 hours on Wednesday mornings from 9 to 12. We use the same classrooms and have the possibility of using obviously more classrooms in École Pasteur. And obviously the children are able to use the library and all the equipment and all the resources we have. This is often ideal for families who are coming straight back from abroad, especially if the children are a bit wobbly with their French, they've lost some of their French skills. So it means that they can concentrate on their French full-time in the French schools and come to us on Wednesday to maintain their English, and hopefully, if you wish, then be able to integrate maybe the following year or not at all, but they maintain their English, and then when they get to CM to have still the possibility of applying to international college. Obviously you can live where you want to and come to us, but you have to get to us, obviously. You don't want to make your life impossible by traveling lots of miles or kilometers to us. We have the same teachers who work for the two integrated and external programs as well as in the Wednesday. And of course, the same thing applies, that the English is an essential to be at home. You must have English somewhere at home, either through a field pair, you speaking it, or some sort of solution. The children, no way can they progress the way we would like them to with only 3 hours of English on a Wednesday.
And there has to be also a bit of a commitment from parents now to
Yes,
support their
definitely.
child with the homework and
Yeah.
make sure that the child is not just left on his own to cope with all that additional work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so reasonable fees. as you will be able to, or you have maybe compared with other schools, we are very reasonable. The reason for that is that initially the association was set up to, to make English available to all. So we are still an association and we cover our costs. So this is really the idea, is to to be able to have families with several children come to our school, to our program, or anyway. So these are the fees. I can send them to you also by email if you'd like, but they're on the website.
I'd just like to underline that, as we said earlier, sometimes we have classes, we pride ourselves on the smaller groups, and sometimes we do have a class if something's just getting going, or if it's a level that, for whatever reason, demographics, et cetera, we don't have that many children. We do commit ourselves, excuse me, and the value in the foundation of the section is to try to keep school fees and tuition at a reasonable cost. And that's something that we've also maintained across the years and across the section.
Okay, so back to me. These are 3 examples of photos from one of the classrooms, or several of the classrooms. The one at the bottom left is the top one as well, excuse me, are the library sections we have in the classroom, class libraries. So the children can borrow 1, 2, or even 3 books on a weekly or a fortnightly basis, or depending on how the teacher wants to organize it, to encourage, obviously, English reading as much as possible. And so obviously we focus on lots of literature, interesting books, as well as obviously the skills need to work on. Here we have some photos. The first on the left, we have photo of some of the class books which we study in the higher
I'm sorry,
grades.
because 3 of them are not showing.
Don't worry. Okay. So in fact, the Lemonade War and Mr. Majenko are for the CE1, CE2 classes, Number the Stars and the Last Bear were 2 books which CM1 studied, and After Tomorrow, and there should be War Horse, the London Eye Mystery, and I don't remember the other one. Anyway, so these are some of the examples of the books we study in class. Now, the younger classes use a reading scheme. The Oxford Reading Tree books are our reading scheme. We're very lucky to have a reading assistant to help the lower classes and the class teacher so that she can hear the children read individually on a weekly basis for integrated external program and the Wednesday classes. So the children will learn to read as from GrandChêne, and they will learn to read at their own pace. Obviously with the help of the family input, because they need to read on a very regular basis at the young ages, nearly every day, to their parents or a big sister, brother, or someone, so that they can obviously build on their vocabulary, their confidence to read. And that will carry on the reading scheme until end of CE1 and first term CE2, and gradually we slip then into them studying actual fiction books as a class, where they enjoy and share the same story together, look at the vocabulary used and the themes and work on that. And then right up to CM2, when it gets a little bit more involved, ready for them to be well integrated into the college program of studying books for English literature. The spelling and vocabulary at the top here and the grammar and punctuation are examples of the basic skill books we use for the upper classes. And then for the younger classes, an example of the phonics work from Schofield and Sims. They use that book. The activity book right at the bottom is what the Grand section are using for their topic work, the world around them. And so these are just examples of, we usually try and use obviously British curriculum-based books, but some of them have come from Ireland, some of them are from America, but basically it's a British textbooks we use. Here we are, we have some other British textbooks. The science and the primary science here is from Cambridge and Oxford University Press are books we're using for the upper classes for our science work. And Who Was Helen Keller is one of the CE1 books they were studying.
Oh, I'm sorry again, I don't know why. Let's see
The pictures.
Okay. Yeah, it shows here, but it doesn't show.
Okay, well, don't worry.
Okay, but I think now that I've gone back
Okay.
to it, maybe it will show.
There you go.
Yeah, let's see. No, they don't want to
Okay.
show.
Okay, so these are some of the activities. I don't know if this is meant to be me, is it? We've
Yes, it
used.
is.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. So Dramatize is an independent theatre company which is based in Paris, who have been with us, who've been coming in to our school for many years now. And we have done workshops in the past with the whole school, depending on the year. But we also run a theatre workshop after school for children who wish to join. And they do little drama workshops and then produce a little play at the end. And Dramatize also do pantomimes and shows for the primary school. And the section treat the primary children to a show once a year where we go to the local theatre and they watch a British pantomime, obviously all in English, so that's a great fun. And then we have a Christmas show every year where the children either they always sing, but we might have a bit of poetry, some dance, little poet activities which the children show in front of the parents. Obviously, all families are invited to come and support their children, and then
snacks.
and then that's followed by a joint
Might be the exception.
buffet chat, and a social to be in the true British Anglo-Saxon way of celebrating Christmas. And this year we're going to have a poetry by heart competition, which is run locally by other international schools, but a poetry club run by one of our teachers and parents. So that's a new addition to this year, which will be nice. That is, all of these activities at the moment are just with the primary pastor school, but hopefully we will be introducing other things in the Noisy-le-Roi and Jules Verne school.
As that develops, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the idea. So I'm going to say just a few words along those lines, kind of, as things develop with the Noisy primary school. I think we have, also numerous activities that reflect the community of the GrandChêne Section Internationale. We have a quiz night once a year, usually in March, for parents, and usually I think some of the lycée students sometimes get a table, and they usually beat all the adults in terms of knowing different factoids that quiz nights are made up of. We have a good back to school picnic in September where all families present and future come together and kind of wrap up summer and welcome the back to school to September. And then we also have less, I don't know, they're not less formal activities, but they're not directly related to the teaching so much as family get-togethers, sometimes pumpkin carving around Halloween, or a costume party, or parents' night out for cocktails to kind of exchange and talk about different aspects of just kind of living as an expat, or getting tips about what's coming next from families that have older children, etc. So just a space and a time for communication and connections. And currently we have a parent at the primary school who's in Noisy, who's running a science club. They've had one outing already, but very informally, just somebody who has a science background and wants to share it with the kids. So they went looking for mushrooms, I think,
yes.
in the forest, and their next outing is going to be
Astronomy.
So they've got, a lot of the parents' initiative and parent support comes into making the section as full as it is. And we do have a lot of talented parents as well as talented students and teachers.
So yeah, this is pretty much the presentation explaining who we are and what we do and the community, etc. So now just briefly explaining the application process. So it opens on the 1st of January. 2025, but it's very important to stress that it's not a first come first serve basis, not at all. So really take your time. We open it just as just to give an official time and date, but actually we prefer for you to gather all the documents before you apply. So please take your time. There is a deadline to apply. It's the 3rd of March, but you have plenty of time. The reason why is that, first of all, to apply, you need to have all the documents. You cannot save and come back to it. So once you gather all the information, it has to go in one go. And also, so there's, for instance, the reason why we put this deadline so late is that you have to wait until you have the current school report, and that we all know that it can take time. You might only receive it mid of January, if not end of February. So don't worry, we do assess all of the applications, even if they come on the deadline, although we do prefer for you to apply before the deadline, but we will be checking all of them. So how it will go is that starting on the 1st of January, you will have a button to apply on the website. For the moment, it's still there because we are still taking some applications for 24-25 for the current year, depending on availabilities. So this is why the button is still on the website. But starting on the 1st of January, it will show 25-26. You will have to fill out this form. It's one per family, so you add a child. As you know, if you have 3, you just add the 3 children, one after the other, and you have also to upload a certain number of documents. If possible, please make sure they are in PDF format and not in pictures. It makes it all a bit more complicated. Once you have filled out and submitted this application form, then you are requested to pay the application fee. It's 105 euros, which is not refundable. And this will trigger the payment of the application fees, will trigger the assessment of your application. So yeah, as I've said, make sure you have all documents. No need to rush. Make sure you have everything first. Then the entrance test is already set for the Wednesday, 12th of March. So if possible, so it will be in the morning. For the little classes, so for Grande Section and CP, you will get a specific timing to which you will have to come. All the others will be on the same time. And we also, so for children who come from private schools or non-AEFE schools, we will have to also test their French and maths. This we try and organize on the same day for families who are living in France. So families living in France, we would like to, as much as possible, see them in person on the day, even if you live, you know, in regions a bit further. If it's not possible, then we'll do it another way.
Can I just say, Jodie,
yes.
about the French and Maths is only for the Integration Externe program, not for the Wednesday program. Is that correct?
It's only for integrated.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So,
Only integrated.
integrated,
students.
yes.
Yeah, you're perfectly right. And thank you for mentioning it, because for CP, there's actually what we call CP sécurisé, and all of the CP candidates get tested. Whichever school they come from, they all have to meet with Mrs. Briand and go through a bit of an interview, a bit of a test. Don't get stressed out. Of course, you know, they're all teachers and they know how to get your child to speak, or as much as they can. So we don't put them in a stressful environment. All of our teachers really make sure that it's a positive experience. And usually they come out really happy with the experience. At the same time, so there is this entrance test, official entrance test on the 12th of March. We will also be organizing distance tests for families living abroad, and they should start at the beginning of March. If it's not obvious, but usually it is. But anyway, just, you know, mention it in your letter of motivation that you would like us to set up a distance test. We will send you instructions asking you to put us in contact with your child's current school. So it's all of a process, but you just need to tell us and we'll organize it. The documents that are required. On the form, you will see on the website, once you tick the apply now button and you're in front of the form, you will see at the top of the form there is a link that explains, it opens a PDF document that will explain all in detail all of this list. So please refer to it. If, of course, again, if you're stuck and there's something you don't understand, you know, you can reach out to admissions. There's absolutely no issues, but this is your reference, you know, this document that explains everything. We are very sorry because for the moment the form is a mix. We're hoping that by the 1st of January it will be sorted, but for the moment it's a mix of French and English. This is to do with the supplier of the form. What he suggested, I'm not sure it's really helpful, but is to use Google Translate. For families struggling, again, reach out to admissions. We will make sure that we can help you filling out this form. It's only, it's information about, your...
Pretty basic.
It's pretty basic.
Names,
But
birth
if
dates.
anything if anything isn't clear, just reach out. So you have this application form, you have a motivation letter to write in English. Although we love reading the ones written by your children, we do need to have one written by parents explaining the background, your family's background, so that we understand better in what way and why you're applying and why is your child bilingual. So it gives us a bit of context. The handwritten work, this is something, you don't need to ask your child to do anything. We just need to see an assignment given by a teacher, graded, corrected if possible, so that we can assess your child's level at the time you're applying. English school reports, so current and previous. Again, that will show us, send us, explain with the comments, and we'll get a better idea of your child. French school reports is the same, but it's for integrated program only. So for externally and Wednesday, we don't need to have the French school reports. Then the last point is we need to also have your child's current English teacher's email. The reason why is we'll be sending a recommendation form for them to fill out. The idea is that it goes straight to the point and it's very short. So that's, it's supposed to help your current child's teacher to fill out, to get the information we need to be able to assess the application. So no need to ask them for a recommendation letter. We will be reaching out to them. And and then the application fees it will appear at the end of the form once you've submitted. I hope all this is...
It's a good checklist,
yeah.
but the details are all on the web.
It's all on the website.
On the website.
Yeah, it will all be on the form, really in the introduction.
Well, we do welcome your questions. There's already been a couple in the chat. The first one that came up was at Primary Noisy, is the teacher Sunny Hamichi? And the answer is yes. So if you know Sunny from Pasteur from LCSC-NLR, she is also our first line teacher at Noisy for this very first year. One of the other questions that comes up is the issue of kind of making sure that the dérogation, or that the application and the details with the French side of things are managed. And those, we can certainly help guide you through those processes. It's not a problem. It really, the parents, the family has to do the work. We can't go into the websites and do it, but we've had questions and we've done it successfully, so we can be that support to answer those questions as they come up. So I don't know if there are other questions that people might have.
Sorry, can you hear me? Just a question about the derogation, so-called.
Yeah.
So currently the kids are in international school, so the child is in Trillium International School, which is Marly-le-Roi, and so other one. So the point is that they are not in national French system. So it's still, we are kind of subject for derogation or not?
Yes, it's still based on derogation. So how you would proceed is you apply, and we first test it. So the first step is testing your child, and he'll be also tested in French and maths because he comes from a private school. So not only his English, but his French and maths as well. And then we will be going through this commission where the inspection academique confirms the spots on all the spots, but also including the ones in derogation. And this is when we will know whether we have enough spots for, for all of our candidates or not. So you don't have anything specific to do. You just need to apply. Your child comes for the test, and then the commission takes place just after the Easter holidays. So this is when we give the final answers. So once we, if the spot is granted, the name of your child goes on the list until you register with the town hall.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes,
Okay,
does that
and
answer?
yeah, so it's just a little bit specific question because I'm not sure why it should be dérogation if
It
so
depends where
if
you live. I'm sorry, I should have started with this. Dans la ville. So yes, because you live outside, so it's got nothing to do with the school your child currently attends. It has to do with where the family lives. And as you live in l'Étang-la-Ville, you will be applying for dérogation.
Mhm.
Because you live outside of the catchment area of Pasteur Primary and of Noisy-le-Roi. I don't know if you're interested in Noisy or in LCSC. But in both
Noisy.
instances,
Noisy,
okay,
yeah.
in both instances, you will be applying for dérogation, and we know for a fact that and Jules Verne and Primary Pasteur, both towns are supportive of the program, and we will have dérogation. We don't exactly have the number yet because we still have to meet with the various town halls and inspection académique, but we know we will have some.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Can I just
Thank you.
add something? Just to make it clear that the first process in the testing is obviously to see if your child can cope with the English side, so the bilingual English side of things, and then for them to be in the integrated or external program. Why they want to make sure that their French is at the right level is that your child has to be able to cope with being in the French school and in the English. So for integrated and external programs, we may pass them in English, but if the French teachers feel that they're a little bit too weak to be able to really cope, then unfortunately they have the last say. And then we suggest perhaps you come to the Wednesday for the year, and then hopefully they will catch up on their French skills. So the inspection and the French schools actually do have the last say in giving dérogation or even a place. So just be aware
Ruth,
of
can
that.
you say a word? We had the
Yeah.
question in the chat about externe.
Yeah.
A parent was asking, are we sure that a child can have the status of their local primary school, but come as an externe to another primary school for English? Is this something that we go through? Because we don't have it at the secondary level where I teach.
Yeah.
Is this
So
something that the
it does
academy-
depend if they live in 92 or 78. That for one thing may cause a problem. And if they live in the 78 district, then it should be fine. But obviously, if they live miles and miles away, it's not practical for a child to come twice a week in the morning. So you have to be obviously a little bit sensible about how far away they are living and traveling the mornings when they have to come or the afternoon when they come.
Right.
There is a letter sent to their local school to make sure the head teacher is aware of it, and they do have to accept it. Is that true, Jodie?
You're perfectly right, but they cannot refuse it.
Yes. Okay. So we have to obviously, out of politeness, they have to be told, and they sign a letter to say that they're giving your child the possibility to leave their school twice a week to come to our section. Yeah.
Okay.
But I completely agree with you. Sorry, that you're right. It has, although they can't refuse it. Again, the distance is it's a major, it's a major data to take into account. You can't live at the further, the furthest end of Les Yvelines and come to Pasteur twice a week. It's just too tiring for for a child that age.
And Ruth, what are the program hours this year? When do our 6 hours of integrated take place at Pasteur?
Okay, so each class level, it depends which day you are allocated. I'll just take an example for myself. I'm the CM2 teacher. For this year, my classes are on Monday afternoon, so from 1:30 to 4:30, and then on Thursday mornings from 8:30 to 11:30. The CP are on Monday afternoon and Tuesday afternoons. They do not have a morning session, and nor do the CE1s. So it's basically through between the everyday half days, and as we only have 2 classrooms, we have to divide up the timetable, so we're not all there together at the same days. So it's either a morning or an afternoon.
But it's a block. It's not coming in.
Yes. No. Sorry. Yes, it's 3 hours block. So 3 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the afternoon, twice a week.
And does it change from year to year?
Yes.
It can.
Well, you can do it. Yes, it just depends on that year's timetable and the teacher who's teaching that year. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
There is a question again regarding externe. As far as we're aware, we haven't had any issues. You know, all of the families that applied for externe and passed the test got accepted, and you know, all the admin side was done. But there is a deadline with the Inspection Académique. Maybe that's why it was refused. They do give us, this year it was up until the 8th of June, and then that was it really. So I don't know if the family applied outside of that date or after that date, but maybe that was the issue. I'm not sure. Just also a few questions here for Grande Section. You're perfectly right. We should have mentioned, it is mentioned on the website, that no, for Grande Section we do not require a score report. Ruth, you confirm we
Yes,
need
yeah.
a motivation letter from the parents,
Yeah.
the application form, and that's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah, and basically, just to reassure you that we try to put the children at ease as much as possible. They will come individually and see the teacher. They may do a few puzzles, some sticking, sequencing, talking about pictures in a book. And some children basically do not speak, but we try to get them to speak as much as possible and to encourage them, obviously, to show us what they're capable of doing, basically.
Sometimes you can test the comprehension
Yes.
even
exactly.
without them speaking.
Yes. So
You guys
yeah.
are very creative. Yeah.
and no, that was just Grande Section, but just going back to the primary program, I mean, it is a lot for a child, especially they have to come to school on a Wednesday morning. But the teachers try to make the classrooms as dynamic and interesting as possible. And basically, the children come to school on a Wednesday enjoying it and leave happily and come back the next week happily. And they might moan about some of the homework they have to do, but it gets done and they actually flourish and they all tend to really enjoy the section.
Yeah.
Do we have a sample test? I don't know if we communicate a sample test.
There is some sort of sample test on the website.
Okay.
It is a bit difficult to find, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay.
Often,
But I can just quickly tell you, basically,
Exactly.
for testing
Thank you.
of a primary school child, we basically want to obviously see if they can understand what we're saying to them. They're listening, can follow instructions, and obviously after CP upwards, obviously they have to have writing skills, obviously suitable to their age level. A tiny little bit of grammar involved, a little bit of creative writing. So the younger classes may have pictures and they have to write a few sentences with words which are there to help them. And obviously later on in CM1 and CM2, we expect them to write a little story with a theme we've asked them to write about. So, and basically, we're looking to see if their syntax, the structure of their sentences are readable, coherent for their age. There are quite a few children who do suffer with dyslexic and spelling problems, but you know those children are also accepted depending obviously on their oral skills, and we also see their reading skills as well. They have to be able to cope with the program. We do not want to put children into difficulties, and so if they can cope and feel confident in speaking, their oral skills and their writing, obviously, and their English skills that way, and reading skills obviously have to be a certain level, but we can work on certain difficulties they have in the test.
Yeah.
And the test on the day there's a part that is a written test, so
and oral,
and then and then it's a one-to-one oral discussion with a teacher.
I think good. Yes, well, I think we've come to the end of what we have to share and communicate. So thank you everybody for joining us this evening. If you do want to receive the recorded version, we can certainly send that on. Just send an email to Jody, to Mrs. Okan.
It will be also, at some point, it will be on the website directly.
I'm sorry, I just have one more question.
Yes,
Is
sure.
I missed the beginning, so maybe you answer this question. I understand that you have two schools, one in Noisy-le-Roi and one Pasteur.
This is right.
LCSC-NLR, yeah.
And LCSC-NLR. And so what are the difference?
There is no difference except for in LCSC-NLR, École Pasteur has classes with the maternal, Grande Section all the way up to CM2. Whereas
Okay.
in Noisy-le-Roi at Jules Verne Primary School, we only for the moment have one class, which is a mixed CM1, CM2 class, because we only started it this year. It's a project which we will continue hopefully next year, and it'll be again a split class CM1, CM2 until we get enough people interested for numbers, basically. And then we will obviously
Okay.
expand. Otherwise, it's
very
exactly the same program.
Same program. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Okay.
You can give admissions a call. You can give me a call anytime if you have any questions following this this webinar. If you have any
Okay, thank
specific
you.
questions, don't hesitate. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
have a
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.